Dro, a typical lonesome high school student, going about his business as usual. Nevertheless, he did not receive a credit. On the other side, he is caught off guard one day when student council boss Sakura asks him to be her right-hand man, slave. Now, Juro has always thought Sakura was awesome and had some of his needs covered, and being on a team with her has only increased his admiration for her. Therefore, he is taken aback when she unexpectedly suggests going on a date. Now we jump ahead to this legendary riverside bar, where they have a profound conversation. The sun is going down, and the wind is gentle. On a bench, Sakura invites him to join her. Just like me, Juro is ecstatic because he can't get any. Then Sakura drops the bombshell. She has a huge crush on Juro's best friend, T. As it turns out, she has had a thing on Tae ever since she witnessed him console the baseball team following a devastating defeat. The current Sakura plan is for Juro to play matchmaker and introduce her to Tae. Juro feels a pang in his heart, yet he refuses to abandon Sakura. Thus, he is to assist her despite the fact that it hurts a little. Juro accepts his childhood friend Himi's invitation to hang out the following day, deciding it's time to move on. He had rejected her the day before, still harboring hopes of a unique connection with Sakura. Despite being out with Himar at the moment, thoughts of yesterday's humiliating rejection keep popping into his head. After Himi notices that he isn't in a good mood, she decides to bring him some melons to lift his spirits. It's going to be the best day ever because he avoids answering her questions about it. Juro feels better and is able to fully immerse himself in the moment as they spend time together. When they do something, they do it fully. Juro makes the day extra memorable for Himar by treating her to a beautiful dinner and buying her gifts. Himi throws a bombshell of her own by the conclusion of the date, as they're sitting on a bench again. Someone holds a special place in her heart. As her confession begins to sound eerily familiar, Juro's initial joy swiftly transforms into terror. Since she first witnessed his leadership at that very baseball game, she admits that she has been head over heels for him. In the same vein as Sakura, Himar approaches Juro about being her wingman. Juro complies grudgingly, since he feels he has no choice but to comply. When darkness descends, Juro's chamber becomes a battleground for two, a self-proclaimed geek. He's so mad that his high school attempt to be a normal, pleasant guy backfired that he's throwing, smashing, and slamming objects. It's as if the females no longer notice him, and he's feeling really down. But suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his brain. Sakura and Himar aren't the only ones with feelings for the same guy, Tae. Juro seizes the chance to leap in and give the other girl a big clap. Himi, brimming with enthusiasm and prepared to brainstorm, overtakes him the following morning as he makes his way to school. Juro admits that he is helping Sakura in her love quest before they discuss tactics. Nevertheless, when Deku observed the event, he recognized that All Might dropped the bottle that contained when he grabbed All Might. As a single performer, Juro turns heads as he enters class at school. When Tae sees a change, he naturally wants to know what's cooking. Himi unexpectedly steps in, attempting to maintain composure, but falling flat on her face. To carry out his plot, Juro deftly uses a student council justification to disappear when Tae and Himi have a conversation. Later on, similar to his encounter with Himar, Juro meets up with Sakura in the student council room, where he reveals that he is a double agent. After Sakura thinks he has her back, he reveals his scheme to her. However, Sakura's anxiety gets the better of her when they run into T in the corridor, and she spontaneously expresses her desire to be friends with T, who can help her out at night. Just friends. Juro saves the day by reassuring her that her responsibilities will be better handled if she takes the time to get to know Tae, a significant underclassman. Once again, Juro's astute reasoning saves the day. Juro seeks refuge in a library around lunchtime, away from the mayhem wreaked by Sakura and Himar. He wishes they would stop bothering him all the time. As he ponders something, the resident nerd of the school, Pansy, approaches him. Despite Juro's usual attempts to avoid her due to her snarkiness, she is here to discuss something vital. She comes clean about her knowledge of his covert dealings with Himar and Sakura, admitting that she had been eavesdropping on him and collecting proof. Pansy informs Juro that she has all the information necessary to reveal his secrets to Tae, and Juro, taken aback, listens with reluctance. She catches him off guard even more when she says she found the park bench where the other girls confessed. Somehow, she managed to secure a seat in the library. Sitting down, she admits that she's infatuated with someone. Juro is taken aback when she confesses her feelings for him instead of Tae, despite his hopes that she's referring to Tae. Juro attempts to gently reject her out of frustration at his luck, but Pansy cuts him off, claiming she isn't naive to his nice guy facade. The genuine Giga Chad Juro has her heart. When Juro hears this, he drops his act and tells her how she can forget about being with him. Like a true boss, Pansy makes it clear that she has no interest in dating him. In her place, she would prefer that he meet her at the library for lunch on a daily basis. Juro complies since he feels he has no choice but to seal his secrets. Himi asks Juro to set up a date for Tae the next day after she decides to buy 2 movie tickets. Rather than being a friend, he seems more like a slave to me. Juro walks up to Tae and tells him that a buddy gave him 2 tickets to a movie that he had already seen. Instead of throwing away the tickets, he thinks Tae should use them to bring someone like Himi along. Himi jumps into the discussion and enthusiastically approves of the proposal. But Tae shocks them both when he hands Himi his ticket and tells her to go see the movie alone. Responding swiftly, Juro brings up T's busy schedule with B and implies that he needs a break. Because of this, Tae agrees to accompany Himi to the movies on Saturday. Later on the same day, Sakura brings T's handmade lunch to Juro. After their classes, she wants to have lunch with T, so she asks Juro to help arrange it. Juro comes up with a scheme and uses T's offer to help him with some student council paperwork as a pretext to visit the council meeting. T is approached hesitantly by Sakura in the corridor, who asks him, in a formal tone, if he would be interested in eating lunch on the rooftop. Juro steps in, highlighting how this meal will cement their growing connection, even though dark clouds are looming overhead. Additionally, Sakura has brought enough food for 2 people, including T's beloved grilled pork dish, according to Tae. They are taken aback when Tae also invites Juro. Juro, acting on impulse, swiftly declines, saying he has other plans to see a lady at lunch, and then he bolts. Juro sought solace in the library and vented his anger to Pansy there. She listened carefully as he described how those 2 wouldn't even have anything to offer Tae, and she even gave him some cookies she'd cooked. It was like getting a swift kick to the stomach when Juro suddenly realized that Tae might be experiencing affection for someone else, something he hadn't even contemplated. Because Pansy is so perceptive, she wanted payment for her advice. Juro was a bit anxious when he asked what she wanted, but after she thought it over, she offered that he be in charge of planning the school council library inspection for this year. For Pansy's assistance, Juro reluctantly agreed, knowing it was a small price to pay. Juro chose to face the matter directly later that day and discover whether Tae had affections for someone. He brought up the sensitive subject when Tae was practicing basketball. Evidently uneasy about broaching such sensitive topics in such a prominent forum, Tae flinched and paused. Recognizing his friend's unease, Juro suggested they seek refuge in a more peaceful area of the courtyard. T broke his heart to Pansy while sitting on the infamous PTSD bench. He related an emotional story from last year when Pansy had discovered him sobbing after a heartbreaking baseball loss. For the first time in his life, he felt comfortable enough to be vulnerable with someone after hearing her words of consolation. Recognizing the danger of betraying Himi and Sakura's interests, Tae sought Juro's wingman backing. In a hesitant rejection, Juro asked, "What on earth does he see in that nerd?" He went on to explain that he didn't know Pansy well enough and couldn't betray his buddies. Switching gears, Tae sought Juro's baseball counsel instead. Underscoring the significance of teamwork and perseverance both on and off the field, Juro urged him to have faith in his colleagues and keep going. Upon his return to the school grounds, Juro was faced with a bewildering array of decisions. When he couldn't make sense of his emotions, he called Pansy and begged her to meet him in the hallways so he could talk to her. His brow wrinkled, he asked her directly what she thought of Tae. Surprisingly, Pansy, who appeared genuinely surprised, made it clear that she wanted to steal Juro's Excalibur, spend time with Juro alone. Pansy became irritated by Dro's persistence in implying that Tae may be a more suitable partner for her. People looked her way as she swatted his hand away. She made it clear that she wanted nothing more than to talk to him and keep baking cookies for him, and she told Juro to shut up. Tae stupidly assumed that Dro had betrayed him by covertly playing his crush before he could provide any additional explanation, and he stormed onto the scene before Dro could finish explaining. Prepared to confront Juro, Tae's distress was plain to see. Pansy stepped in and kindly explained that Juro was indeed attending the council meeting to discuss an impending library inspection. Dro was saved from Tae's imminent fury after this explanation defused the situation later that day. With the tension in the air, Tae was first skeptical and then found it hard to believe. Pansy went into detail, saying that she was worried the library could close because of the lack of patronage. After setting the facts straight, Pansy immediately left, her disgust for Dro clearly visible. Just as she was about to go, Dro saw that she had knocked over her cookie bag. Later that night, Dro returned home and immediately sank onto his bed, seeking comfort and a break from his exhaustion. Unfortunately, his serenity was abruptly interrupted when his phone rang with an urgent message from Sakura, requesting an immediate meeting. Juro felt a twinge of unease as he surveyed the eatery the moment he entered. The sight of Sakura pouting in a booth in the corner was the last straw that made him nervous. Tragically, she spilled the beans about how Tae had requested her to utilize her magnetic leadership abilities to win Pansy over and arrange up a meeting between Tae and Pansy. To rub salt in the wound, Tae had first brought up asking Dro for help, and when Juro turned him down, he suggested that Tae ask their other friends for it, using a baseball analogy. Sakura's accusations of Dro's treachery and lying hurt deep. If lying was his goal, she told him to fuck off her life. Sakura jumped up and strode away from Dro before he could defend himself, leaving him bewildered and unable to speak. Another round of charges was leveled against Juro the day after he was called home by Himar. Himar told him that Tae had come to her with a comparable request to get her help winning Pansy over. Dro tried to make amends for hiding Tae's true intentions from Himi earlier, but his words only made her cry harder. Steps outdoors to evaluate them. Junior, who was at a loss for words, said that all he had intended to do was provide harmless baseball instruction. However, Himi's emotional attack was as powerful as an uppercut. Himar rushed off, slamming the door behind her, and Juro was left splayed out in his chair, thrown off his equilibrium. Her parting remarks, which admonished him not to interfere with their affairs any longer, cut deep into his soul. How is it that he is able to extract so much BS from a dishwasher? Dro dragged himself to school the following morning, burdened by the loneliness that had set in after Sakura and Himare's departure. Lost in his thoughts, he was jolted out of his rut when Tae unexpectedly caught up to him. Observing Dro's clearly negative disposition, Tae reached out and gave him a comforting shoulder, promising him that he would be available for any time Juro needed to vent. Dro got a text from Pansy inviting him to the library as Tae was leaving. Upon entering the library, Pansy wasted no time revealing that she knew exactly what had happened between Tae and the two females. The anger in Dro finally broke out. Just as he was about to explode, Sakura, Tae, and Himi burst through the library door. Tae became furious upon seeing Dro with Pansy and began accusing him of lying about not knowing her. Juro was scolded for tricking Himar and Sakura as well. Dro lost it under the weight of their accusations and let his real feelings out. He exploded, slamming them down and claiming their wrath was unwarranted, in contrast to Tae. He put in countless hours for them, even when they couldn't have survived without him, but whenever something went wrong, he was the one to blame. He yelled out that they had treated him like a tool, and his tantrum stunned them into quiet. Juro, his wrath let loose, took temporary pleasure in watching their contorted faces as they admitted culpability. He felt that settling scores with Tae was his last option. But Pansy stepped in and asked why. If Dro was really assisting Himar and Sakura, he was trying to steer her toward Tae. While Dro was taken aback, Pansy added fuel to the fire by disclosing that Dro had informed her about his intentions to pursue the girl Tae had turned down. Tae pounced on Dro's protests, pushed him to apologize to the girls, and then punched him hard in the face, sending him flying into a bookshelf. After that, Tae warned Dro not to associate with girls again as he slung Dro over his shoulder. Carrying Dro out of the library, Tae admitted that he had once wished they might be lifelong best friends, but that he no longer desired any connection with him due to everything that had transpired. In a hushed tone, Pansy told Dro to trust her before they walked out, and he was left to wonder what her enigmatic message meant among all the chaos. After that, Dro was the target of constant rumors around school. It seemed as if every corridor was resonating with murmurs of how he had abandoned and destroyed the lives of his pals. A girl who overheard the dispute in the library quickly spread the word, starting the rumor mill. He was already struggling with feelings of isolation and despair when Sakura removed him from the student council. Pansy once texted Juro, asking him to meet her in the library for lunch while he was getting ready for his next lesson. She made an excuse about wanting to tell her real feelings. He contemplated ignoring her out of reluctance and continued pain from her seeming betrayal. Nevertheless, he grudgingly made his way to the library after Pansy threatened to escalate the situation if he failed to appear. Upon his arrival, he was eager to skip the introduction and get right to the chase, but Pansy had him retrieve a book from the shelves. Tae walked into the library and joined Pansy as he perused the stacks. Juro, hid behind the books, managed to overhear their chat. Pansy began by berating Tae for avoiding his buddies over lunchtime and instead spending it in the library. Tae dismissed her worries and asked if she would want to observe his practice session the following time. Disregarding his offer, Pansy insisted on knowing why he had tricked and trapped Juro without warning. Even though Tae pretended not to know, Pansy was unyielding and eventually exposed his plots after only 1 week of conversation. She said that Tae was aware of Himar and Sakura's feelings for him, but that he ignored them on purpose so that Dro would feel pressured into aiding them, which would ultimately lead to T's downfall. When things went bad, Tae wanted the girls to turn against Dro, so he sowed seeds of discord between them. In response to Dro's rejection of his amorous advances, Tae swiftly adopted a vengeance strategy, seeking the aid of Sakura and Himar while simultaneously disclosing Dro's awareness of their affections in an effort to undermine him even further. In defense, Tae brought up the fact that Pansy had fought Dro. However, Pansy stated that this was all an elaborate charade to draw Tae closer and gain the information she needed. If she wanted to gain his trust and find out what he was really up to, she had to be impartial. Dro fell into a profound melancholy as he overheard everything from his concealed location. He felt a crushing weight due to his best friend's treachery, which he had known for decades. At the same time, Pansy persisted in asking Tae why he betrayed Dro. Last but not least, Tae acknowledged that middle school is when it all began. A girl he had feelings for at the time had asked him to introduce her to Dro. He tried to win her over, but she ended up falling for Dro instead. He paid her hardly any mind. Despite T's efforts to show her Juro's shortcomings, her affections for Dro never altered. Tae, who had regained his composure, immediately and directly asked Pansy if her defense of Dro was due to her feelings for him. Tae let out a sigh of disappointment as he realized he had lost to Dro again after Pansy validated her feelings. Then he came clean about how this was his chance for vengeance. As a result of Dro's carelessness, he found himself in the same predicament that Tae had faced in middle school. Tae was well aware that he could exploit the girls' infatuation with him to his advantage and convince them of anything he wanted. Pansy was questioned by Tae about her fondness for Dro, who appeared to have flaws. According to Pansy, Dro is actually quite generous. He had agreed to assist the girls, but T's happiness was his first priority. That's why he made an effort to persuade Pansy to date T. Tae asked Pansy why she feels so much for Dro, and Pansy told him her narrative, which also started during the baseball tournament last year, along with the fact that T betrayed Dro despite his devotion, which is why Pansy can never care for or be with Tae. She noticed Dro standing by the exit for quite a while, with T's favorite food in his hands, before she encountered T. Dro bore the heat of the sun as he stood there, taunted and laughed at by those around him. No longer does Dro let envy or selfishness influence his actions. He continues to put T's pleasure ahead of his own ambitions. What makes Dro so special to Pansy is his generosity and selflessness. As his temper boiled, Tae made a subtle warning that he may harm Pansy without anyone seeing by bringing up the fact that the library is empty during lunch. Pansy, on the other hand, showed no signs of running away as she calmly faced him.
Her poise astounded Tae.
Observes her as she asserts with conviction that she can stay put since she has faith that Dro will rescue her. Dro then comes charging out from behind and faces T. T looks noticeably shocked when she sees Dro. In the beginning, Dro agrees with Tae that Himi and Sakura were mistaken in their treatment of him, referencing Tae's prior remark. Dro warns Tae not to insult the girl's sentiments by squeezing his shoulder as T anxiously attempts to laugh it off. He proceeds to take Taeyu from the ground by grabbing his collar and firmly scolds him, while also informing him that the females had gone to great lengths to support him. Tae should not take advantage of the girls who care about him, Garo says. After Dro gets Tae to apologize and swear he'll never hurt them again, he releases him. As Tae departs, Pansy goes up to Dro and says she's sorry she didn't back him earlier. She leans in for a kiss, but Dro pulls away, acting like a giant chat, and says he can't forgive her that easy. His problem with Tae is over, he informs her, so there's no use in going to the library anymore. Pansy admits to herself that she will miss him a great deal after hearing his remarks. Evidently moved by her confession, Jur pauses for a second before walking away, intent on putting the bad memories in the past. Thank you for watching to this point. This is not the end. For part 2, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got other interesting anime recaps for you. Choose the left or the right video.